What's going on, Criterion collectors? It's that time of the year again. Barnes & Noble is kicking off their 50% off summer sale on all Criterion titles, both in-store and online, and it starts today, June 27th, so head out to your local Barnes & Nobles and find any Criterions that you've been looking for. There's been so many good releases that have come out since the last sale back in November. All 5 of the recommendations I have for you today have come out since that last sale, very recent releases, so these are perfect options if you're not sure what to pick up when you head out to the store. Keep an eye out for these ones because I highly recommend these. Starting with the first one on the top of the stack here, needs no introduction, of course. This is Anora. This is one of the biggest movies that came out last year. Palme d'Or winner, Best Picture winner, and now after rewatching it with this Criterion release, my favorite film from last year. I'm sure everybody knows about this already, but in case you don't, I'll talk about it briefly. And if you are already familiar with the film, if you've seen it and haven't picked up the Criterion yet, I'm going to go through everything that comes with this release because it is a packed release. One of the best Criterion releases that's come out in a long time. They did so many supplements and special features for this. The director, Sean Baker, came aboard and did so much stuff for this. There's a ton of supplements listed on the back, so I'll go over all of that for you guys. If you haven't seen the film yet, this is a wild ride of a film. It's hard to categorize it as a drama or a comedy, even though I did laugh harder than anything I've seen in a long time, and I was brought to tears at the end of it as well. Very powerful ending to the film. This is an anti-Cinderella story that explores this main character who is a sex worker, which is a constant theme that comes up in Sean Baker's work. He's very fascinated by these marginalized characters, and this is no different, fits perfectly into his filmography. A very human film with incredibly drawn characters, especially Anora, and you see her go on this journey, selling herself this fairy tale, this escape. I don't want to say too much about it because I think it is a film that the less you know going in, the better experience you'll have, but it is about our lead character, Anora, who is a stripper. She begins dating one of her clients, who is the son of a Russian billionaire, and their relationship escalates really quickly. She feels like her dreams are starting to come true, but then things start going out of control, and it's not as great as it seems. Everyone's talking about Mikey Madsen's performance as Anora, and I totally agree with that, but all 4 of the other main characters are giving perfect performances as well. You've got Yvonne, which is her new love interest, the romance that she's going on with him, and he's perfect in his role. You've got all the handlers of Yvonne. You've got Garnick and Eager and Toros, who is an actor that Sean Baker works with a lot. All the guys are cast perfectly from about 45 minutes in when the ball really starts rolling, and it's just, like I said, a roller coaster ride for the rest of the film. The back of the box describes it as a whirlwind neorealist screwball comedy, and I can't think of a better description than that. That perfectly sums up this movie, but there is some very unexpected tenderness and sweetness in the film as well, which really resonated with me, and I'm so glad I gave it a second watch because I got so much more out of it on a second viewing. I found it to be just a fascinating exploration of transactional relationships and class systems and the fairy tales we tell ourselves. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the inside of this film. There you go. Speaking of, it's literally got a roller coaster on the back. I love that shot. Inside, you're gonna see all 3 discs. You've got a 4K and 2 Blu-rays, which have all the special features on there. You can still see one of the Blu-ray discs is not in there because it's in my player over there because I was watching the special features earlier. The special features are insane on this release. You've got 2 audio commentaries with director Sean Baker on the 4K disc and one of the Blu-ray discs. And then you've got just a bunch of special features that Sean Baker did for this. He did like an interview, a full lengthy interview by himself. He did another interview with Mikey Madsen about the character of Anora. There is a full hour-long documentary of iPhone recordings from the entire crew while they were making it, and it is just straight up footage of how they made the film and just a bunch of other Q&As. There's deleted scenes. Like I said, it's a packed release. So glad I picked this up. enhance the film for me after going through that. There's also a really cool booklet. I've already put it back, but I'm going to take it out again because I want to make sure you guys see this. The booklet is made to look like a magazine all the way through. Like the detail they put into this with even the kind of paper it's made of is like newsprint paper, and you've got all these beautiful images in here. And the second essay in here, there's 2 different essays in here. I like them both, but the second essay especially is fantastic. It's written by the author of House of Psychotic Women, which is a big film book that I've heard about for years, and I kind of want to get because her writing in that essay was fantastic. I loved it. But the Anora release, I can't recommend enough. If you love the movie, you got to own this. This is the definitive 4K release. Sean Baker approved. He did so much, put so much work into this release. Highly recommend that one if you haven't seen it yet. So that was a very recent movie that just came out last year. Now we're going to jump back to the 50s. In 1950, when Winchester 73 came out, this is a very influential Western film. This was kind of a pivotal moment in Westerns when they were changing a little bit from like the mythic John Ford kind of Westerns to the more grungy, vengeful Westerns that obviously carried on through the 50s and 60s. And this is straight from 1950. It's the first collaboration with James Stewart and Anthony Mann. They went on to do 8 films together. 5 of those are Westerns, and I really hope Criterion starts putting out more of those in the future because I loved this. I've also seen this one 2 times. I watched it back when it was on the Criterion channel a few years ago. So when I heard it was getting a 4K, I couldn't have been more excited. I knew I had to get this one. This is a 4K Blu-ray combo pack. Another great write-up in here on the booklet that comes with this one. Learned a lot from that one. I've said it before on the channel, but James Stewart is my absolute favorite actor of all time. This is a turning point for him as well. He took 5 years off acting because he was in the war. He came back. His first film back was It's a Wonderful Life. He was starting to do more angry, regretful characters, and he continues that with this. So I've seen 2 other Westerns starring James Stewart. One of them is early, Destry Rides Again, another Criterion release. Love that one. And of course, he is in my favorite Western of all time, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. But in both of those films, he plays kind of morally upstanding characters that are role models. He's kind of the moral backbone of the film. This, he is the complete opposite. He is angry character. He's a vengeful character. He's seeking revenge the entire film. I don't really want to give away why, but he's great in this. This is, like I said, a turning point for him. He's starting to take on these darker roles. I love to see him do something different. So if you're used to seeing Stewart's earlier stuff and you want to see him do something different, check this one out. One of the coolest things about this film, though, is the structure. James Stewart is the closest thing we have to a main character, but I wouldn't even consider him the main character. The main character is right there, the title character, Winchester 73. This film is about a gun. The gun is the main character. It's the opening shot. It's the closing shot. It's very vignette kind of film. It feels like a novel. You're kind of jumping from little story here to little story here. We're following the gun as it changes hands from owner to owner. There's also an interesting like revisionist history angle of the story because Little Bighorn has just happened and we're kind of dealing with the fallout of that and some of those skirmishes in this film. There are some incredible villains. James Stewart is wonderful in his role, but you've got 2 different all-timer villains in this film. You've got the main bad guy played by Stephen McNally, who is the guy that he's trying to track down, the guy that he's trying to get revenge on throughout the film. But then you've also got a great performance by Dan Duryea, who I'm familiar with from Scarlet Street. He plays a very similar, slimy, like bad guy character in that. He's really, really good at it. He's so fun in this. You got the 2 villains are very different. You got one very serious, angry villain and one very just silly, over the top, does not care villain, and they both work great. I highly recommend this. This is a fantastic Western, one of my favorites. I'm very partial to James Stewart, of course, but it's probably up there in my top 5. Haven't seen a lot of Westerns, though. I need to watch more. That's a genre that I'm quickly falling in love with, and I'm really glad that Criterion is continuing to put out some solid Westerns. Like I said, I hope they continue putting out more of Anthony Mann stuff. They have the Furies, of course, but I hope they do more of that. Oh, and I almost forgot. One of the coolest things about this release, as far as the Criterion release goes, there's a commentary with James Stewart. It's an older James Stewart. I think it was done later, maybe like the 90s or something, 80s, 90s. He's older, and you can hear it in his voice, but just hearing him on a commentary was amazing. I had no idea that was on here. That was a pleasant surprise when I was flipping through the supplements on the disc. Then moving on from a classic Western to kind of a modern Western. It's not actually a Western, but it takes place in the West, in these beautiful desert landscapes, in Texas. It's No Country for Old Men. This is another recent release from the Criterion Collection. Everyone was talking about this one when it came out. I am here to agree. I loved this release as well. I love the Coen brothers. My wife and I both we've almost seen all the Coen brothers movies. There's a few more stragglers that we have to watch. This one, though, a very unique Coen brothers film. This does not have their signature comedic style that most of their films come with. This is a very bleak, dark film. It kind of is very appropriate that it's coming after Winchester 73. It's another manhunt film, another cat and mouse story. Josh Brolin finds a bunch of money in a suitcase out in the desert after a drug deal that's gone wrong, and Javier Bardem is tracking him down, hunting him down to try to find this money. And then you got Tommy Lee Jones playing a police officer that's chasing after both of them. It's a very suspenseful film. You on edge of your seat is such a cliche at this point, but literally on the edge of your seat while you're watching this. It's such a suspenseful, tense, nerve-wracking film the entire way through. It never lets up. Like I said, such a bleak, desolate, harrowing experience. It's kind of set up, like the point of the film is to be unsatisfying. I hope I'm not spoiling too much by saying that, but it's a very unsatisfying film, intentionally so. It's exploring evil and fate and senseless violence. I think it does such a good job of capturing what it must feel like to be a police officer and just inundated with senseless violence, seemingly random violence, so many crimes that never get solved, and the inevitable nihilism that has to come with living that life for years and years and decades. This is Tommy Lee Jones. He's younger, but he's still, he's still an older man, and he's been doing this. He's been at this forever. I don't even want to say heartbreaking film, but it is a depressing film, and I was very down the rest of the evening after watching this. This is not one I see myself going back to a lot, but it's a near perfect film. It does what it's trying to do, what it sets out to do, very, very effectively, and I'm gonna remember it for a long time. It's another 4K disc. The discs are coins. I love this. If you've seen the film, you'll get that reference. Javier Bardem, one of the greatest villain performances of all time. Such great villains in all of these films I'm mentioning. Haven't had a chance to read this booklet yet, looking forward to it, but the supplements on here are great. There are, of course, archival interviews and some archival documentaries, because this has been on Blu-ray for a long time, but there are some new interviews with the Coen brothers. They came back, their producers came back, so Criterion did do a pretty good job. There's not too many supplements on here, but it's a very solid release. Another beautiful, all three of these, by the way, I haven't even mentioned that. All three of these stunning looking films. The 4K is great. I think all three of these are presented in HDR. I don't know about Winchester, but the other two definitely are. More modern films look fantastic on 4K, both stunningly shot films, and we're going to get to some more 4Ks here. Actually, all the ones we're talking about today are 4Ks, just the way it worked out. Criterion's been cranking out the 4Ks lately. We're going to go with Withnail and I next. This is directed by Bruce Robinson, one of only 2 films, I believe, that this director ever made. Criterion released both of them. They're both in the collection. I haven't seen the other one, but I have now watched Withnail and I. It's an early spine number. It's a re-release on 4K. It joined the collection all the way back at spine number 119. This is an interesting one, and one that I think I'm going to need some time with. I'm going to need multiple viewings of this one. But I did find a lot here. This is very autobiographical. Like I said, Bruce Robinson only directed a couple films. This is very much based on his life in the late 60s, early 70s. I am reminded of Y tu mamá también with this film. I think it's doing a very similar thing. Alfonso Cuarón described that film as a story about 2 young men breaking out of their adolescence in Mexico that was also coming out of its adolescence, and this kind of parallel between the setting and the main characters. And there's something very similar going on with this. You've got 2 young guys, young actors, just like Bruce Robinson was, and they are just perpetually wasted. They're doing nothing. They have no job. Their apartment is just a mess. All they're doing is just drinking their life away in a Britain that is recovering from the collapse of the 60s counterculture movement, and it's also just in this perpetual hangover. So you got a very similar thing going on with Y Tu Mamá Tambien and With Nil and I. So I found that very interesting. I had no idea what to expect going into this. I have only heard this described as one of the most hilarious comedies of all time. I would not go into it expecting that. It is very funny in places, and it's a very British dry wit. I hesitate to boil British humor down to just dryness, which I feel like a lot of people do. There is a lot of dry delivery, but there's also some absurdity in British humor that when it comes up, it's great in this film. But I would not go in just expecting a hilarious comedy, because this is a very melancholic film. Sorry, I feel like all of the things I've been picking are very dour experiences, but this balances it very well. There is some great comedy, but these characters are just at such a low point that when the comedy hits, it hits really hard. And the director on here, in the supplements, I watched all the supplements on this one. I really resonate with what the director said about comedy on this. He says people are only funny until they try to be funny. Once you're trying to be funny, it's not funny anymore. It has to feel real. And that's my exact sense of humor. I really, really appreciated that. And I appreciated the humor in this. This is another 2-disc set, 4K and Blu-ray. Another fantastic essay in here. This is where I learned most of the background about the film, so I highly recommend you take a look at that as well. I'm excited to watch the other one. The other one is How to Get Ahead in Advertising, the only other film he made. And I've heard that one might be a little bit more my thing. I did have a great time with this one. I liked it a lot, but I'm still waiting for that like full experience to really unlock the film. Sometimes it takes a couple times for me to fully unlock a film, and I'm gonna check that one out in the future. It's very short, 107. I should say, don't go in expecting any plot. There is no plot. It's just these guys hanging out together, drinking. They go to one of the characters' uncle's farmhouses, and they're just staying out there trying to get away on a little bit of a vacation, but really nothing happens. It's just them talking and surviving. So if that doesn't sound like your thing, maybe don't pick it up, but I think it's worth it. I think there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. So if you can deal with a very light plot, then definitely check it out. And this is a cult classic. Like, I didn't even know how big this movie is. I'm not in England, so I don't know what's going on over there. But there are tons of supplements. There's a whole documentary, like featurette, just with fans talking about how influential this film is for them, how they have watched it hundreds and hundreds of times, and how ridiculously quotable it is. So it's a big one over there across the pond, and I'm glad I got to see it. I'm glad Criterion gave it this beautiful 4K treatment. It looks great. 80s film. If that sounds interesting to you at all, maybe pick that one up this month. And then finishing up here with a fun one. This is very different than anything we've talked about so far. This is a swashbuckling epic directed by Richard Lester, who's already in the Criterion collection with A Hard Day's Night. This is his Three Musketeers 2-part epic film from the 70s. 73 and 74 were released just like 6 months apart from each other. This is a weird one. I had no idea what to expect going into this. After seeing them, I think it's a weird fit for Criterion. I know they've worked with Richard Lester before, but it's good. It's good to mix things up. And like I said, I was watching some very heavy things recently, so this was a nice change of pace. A lot of history on this one. I'll get to that in a minute. The way this was released is crazy, but the tone of this is the first thing that stands out to you. It kind of, if you're like, I would say if you're a fan of the Pirates of the Caribbean films, like more modern adventure films, this had to have inspired Gore Verbinski when he was making those films, because the tone of it is just as silly. Like, everyone is Jack Sparrow level silly in this film. You've got Michael York playing the lead D'Artagnan, giving a very silly, over-the-top performance. You've got Oliver Reed and Faye Dunaway. They're a little bit more serious. Faye Dunaway, probably the most serious performance in the film. She's playing Lady De Winter. You got Oliver Reed as Athos. And then you've got Raquel Welch, who is literally playing like a bumbling, ditzy, goofy character who literally trips and falls and just runs into things. And I want to go ahead and show you the booklet on this one, because it perfectly sums up what this film feels like. The artist did an amazing job on this huge little image right here that they made. It looks exactly like a Look and Find book, like these Look and Find books that you would have grown up with. That's what this movie feels like. There's so many characters. The tone feels, I don't want to say parody, almost like a parody, but it's a little more serious than that. It's a comedy. It's supposed to be fun. It's a fun, light adventure, and from all accounts, I haven't read the story, but from all accounts I've read about, it's the most accurate adaptation of the novel of the Three Musketeers. It follows the story very well. The tone is a little more silly than I like in my adventure stories. I like things to play them a little more straight, but I can't deny I had a fun time watching it. Grace and I watched through both of these. It's a big, over-the-top, crowd-pleasing experience. It would have been great to see this in the theater, unless you were the actors in the film. This is what I alluded to earlier. They did not tell the actors that they were splitting it into 2 films. They were told it was going to be one big, epic film. They decided last minute, because they didn't have it ready in time, to split it up into 2 films. The actors went to see themselves. Faye Dunaway's barely in the first film. She was expecting to see herself, and it ends halfway through. And then you got to come back months later to watch the second part. Big scandal. There's a whole history of like contracts changing now because of this film. So if you're interested in all that like behind the scenes like producer stuff, very interesting supplements on here talking about that, especially the booklet inside. But a fun watch, a good group watch. If you want to have some friends over, they're great. The Three Musketeers are kind of like background characters. They don't really get much to do. It's mostly D'Artagnan, Constance, Lady de Winter, and then Athos is the one. Oliver Reed is the one musketeer that actually gets some stuff to do, some backstory. The other 2 just kind of pop up, have some sword fights, and then disappear again, and then come back for more fights later. So a fun double feature from Criterion. I feel like I'm sounding more down on it than I am. I'm not down on it. It doesn't matter if I like it anyway. It matters if you like it. So I'm trying to tell you what it is, what it feels like, so you can make the decision for yourself. If anything I said intrigues you about that film, or if you've been curious about it, again, the definitive release from the Criterion Collection. Such a cool choice, just an interesting choice that I wasn't expecting from Criterion. Lots of interesting stuff coming out lately. This is what I've been watching recently, a handful of things that I've been popping in and enjoying myself. I've also got some other ones over here that I've got lined up to watch this month, so there'll be more recommendation videos coming soon. Stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of that stuff. Hope you enjoyed this video, hope it was helpful to you, and hope you find some great movies while you're out hunting this month in the Barnes & Noble sale. I'll be out there, I'll be hunting, I'll be taking the camera in and taking you guys on some Criterion adventures with me. I can't wait to do that. This is my favorite time of year. I love making these videos for you guys. So stay tuned. There'll be plenty more of that coming soon. We'll be meeting up with all the old friends, all the old guests. Everybody's gonna come back and we're gonna put together some really great videos for you guys. So those videos will be coming to the channel very soon. As always, thank you for watching. I'll talk to you in the comments down below, and until next time, keep collecting.